I've taken the time to study the all-22 coaches film from the Buffalo Bills AFC Championship Game loss to the Kansas City Chiefs, and I'm sharing my top takeaways with you today on Locked On Bills.
You are Locked On Bills, your daily Buffalo Bills podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Bills Mafia? It's Joe Marino, author of the Herd Mentality Substack, co-host of the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast, co-host of the NFL First Read Podcast, and I'm your host of Locked On Bills. Want to thank you for making Locked On Bills your first listen every day, and a big welcome and shout out to our everydayers. You know who you are. Those of you who never miss a single episode, I appreciate you all being here very, very much. I'd also like to invite you to subscribe or follow for free on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use code LockedOnNFL to win $50 instantly when you play $5. Well, folks, welcome in. It is time for the last all-22 review of the 2024 season, of course, reflecting on this AFC Championship game. And I have plenty to say, defensively, offensively, snap counts, studs and duds, all the things that we typically do. I want to start with the offensive side of the football and just kind of dive into stuff. And one of the things that I wanted to gain some clarity on when studying the film was what the heck happened on that opening drive for the Bills offense. The Bills lose the toss. They wind up with the ball first. And obviously you want to start fast and you go 3 and out. And so you watched it and you're like, what the heck's going on here? Josh Allen looks like we're back in 2018. What is this? And so I'm glad that I watched the tape and looked for those answers because I got some clarity there. Obviously, you start the game with Josh Allen on a QB power 4-yard run. I think that's a good way to start the game. Josh Allen likes to kind of take a hit and give him a chance to lower that left shoulder into somebody and get him going. Then you had second and third down, and on second down, Josh had Mack Hollins open. It just wasn't a very accurate throw. And the reason it wasn't accurate is because of pressure from Chris Jones, who pretty much destroyed O'Cyrus Torrence on that play. And because Josh Allen had to speed up his delivery, when he released the ball, he released it a tick early. And so he couldn't really stay on top of the ball to kind of hammer it in. And because that release point was a little early, the ball winds up going a bit high on him, and he's high of the mark because otherwise it's a good read and a good decision. He just couldn't get the proper mechanics on the ball to fit it in there accurately due to the pressure in his face. Then on third down, Josh had Curtis Samuel on a drag route, and he couldn't step up in the pocket because, well, Chris Jones beats David Edwards. And there's some pressure from his blind side as well. Dawkins, I don't know that he got beat on the play. He's kind of trying to work the rusher around the peak of the pocket. But when you have that type of compression from your blind side, in addition to pressure in your face from your left guard, you're not really able to escape that pocket or step up in the pocket. And so he can't get the ball to Curtis Samuel on the shallow drag that was open. He gets outside of structure and he tries to get it to Keon Coleman, who, was a decent option. Unfortunately, with Josh rolling to his left, he didn't get enough on the ball and couldn't get it over that underneath defender who probably should have intercepted the pass. So I watched it live thinking, man, Josh is coming out here. His nerves are crazy. He's not playing the right way. And really, it just came down to some pressure in his face and him trying to make something happen. So I didn't really take as much exception with it after I actually watched the tape. There's plenty to discuss in this game offensively that didn't go well, but can we actually just take a moment and acknowledge the 4 touchdown drives that were really freaking good? So you get your first touchdown drive after the Mahomes fumble, and it was a massive swing. That's an unforced error on that exchange with Mahomes and the running back. Ed Oliver, great job recovering that ball, really just pulling it away from Patrick Mahomes. And that was a massive swing in the game. They were, when I say they, Kansas City was threatening to go up 14-3. And instead you get the ball back and the Bills are moving the ball. And then there's this 3-play sequence of really high level stuff. And of course it kind of starts that with Josh Allen getting sacked and recovering his own fumble. That was an unbelievable job of picking up that ball as he was getting tackled. That was an unbelievable job. Now, unfortunately, it put him in a 2nd and 20, but then Josh throws 2 strikes, a dart to Mack Hollins on an in-cut for 7 yards, a seed to Khalil Shakir over the middle of the field for 24 yards. The next play is James Cook's first touchdown run to his left. And so that was a really big opportunity to take that turnover, turn it into points, but then also get yourself out of a negative situation with an unbelievable fumble recovery, 2 darts, and a great touchdown run by James Cook. Then you have the touchdown drive before the half. 7 plays, 73 yards in a minute and 32 seconds. And you needed this. The Bills are in danger of going into halftime down 2 scores. And, of course, Josh Allen makes a unbelievable throw to Mack Hollins for 34 yards. A great catch by Mack Hollins, who stacks that corner, and there's not a whole lot of separation. It's just a matter of Josh Allen dropping it in the bucket and Mack Hollins, staying leveraged vertically to be able to make that catch. Then you have that first possession of the second half, 12 plays, 80 yards. That was like the James Cook drive. You pounded the rock on that one and was able to really kind of do the things I expected the Bills to be able to do in the game. And, of course, it was capped by an unbelievable effort by James Cook on that touchdown where, he's contacted at about the 3.5. He gets hit in the air as well. Puts that hand down and extends a ball. I mean, that's as good of a touchdown run as you're going to see. And then, of course, the touchdown drive to tie the game at 29. You had a huge throw on 3rd and 8 to Mack Hollins for 32 yards to set up a 1st and goal from the 4, and then eventually you get the Curtis Samuel touchdown pass on 4th down. That was high-level execution there on those 4 touchdown drives. And what I keep finding myself disappointed in is that both teams scored 4 touchdowns and 1 field goal. One team had 3 more points because of course, how the 2-point conversions went. The Bills fail at 2 of them. KC gets theirs plus a extra point, and they win by 3. So it's like you had the exact same scoring drives in terms of 4 touchdowns and a field goal. The other team has 3 more points. But the Bills did have some failed drives. So I wanted to kind of celebrate some of the good because, I mean, the Bills did have some good things happening offensively. The problem is, fundamentally, they did have some failed drives that absolutely cost them. We talked about the first drive. The Bills go 3 and out. You have pressure on 2nd and 3rd down that doesn't enable Josh Allen to get the throws where he wants them. Then you have the field goal drive. I'm going to call this a failed drive. It was a 50-something yard field goal by Tyler Bass. Great kick. But the reason that you were in that position despite moving the ball is on 2nd down, Josh Allen dropped the snap. So you go from 2nd and 5 to like 3rd and 10. You can't get a 3rd and long conversion. You have to settle for a field goal. You got to catch a snap. Then you have your drive where the Bills wind up punting after Kansas City goes 11 plays, 70 yards for a touchdown. The Bills go 3 and out. And this, to me, was a game-changing sequence that I don't know that enough people are talking about. All right? This is an absolute game-changing sequence. KC 11 plays, 70 yards, touchdown. Bills get the ball back and go 3 and out. All right? And it's a very disappointing 3 and out sequence that I think is directly rooted to Josh Allen missing throws. And I have plenty of praise for Josh Allen. Nobody ever wants to hear anything that Josh Allen does poorly. And I think he absolutely deserved to win, play well enough to win. But this was a sequence that cost him. So on 1st down, it's the incomplete pass to Dalton Kincaid on an outbreaking pattern with Nick Bolton in coverage. There is a massive window. Kincaid has separation. There's a massive window between Kincaid and the sideline. And Josh Allen throws a bad ball, and Kincaid has to go back into coverage, so it ruins the separation, and he has to go back into Nick Bolton to catch the football, and Nick Bolton's able to just kind of pull his arm down, and Kincaid can't make the throw. There's got to be a better ball there. It's got to be a better ball. Then on 2nd down, it's the wide-open Curtis Samuel play. If he catches that, he probably scores. It's a bad ball from Josh Allen. It's a low throw that Curtis Samuel maybe could have dug it out, but he's falling as he tries to catch it. It would have been like a 4-yard gain. If he hits him in stride, that 4-3 athlete's probably going to house it. So 2 inaccurate throws, then you're in 3rd and long. There's nothing really available, and the Bills take a shot with Keon Coleman up against Trent McDuffie, which is a waste of a down. So you go 3 and out after 11 plays, 70 yards because you have 2 inaccurate throws. And that's when Kansas City has the 41-yard punt return to set Patrick Mahomes up at the plus 34. 6 plays later, Kansas City's up 21-10. Plays are there to be made. You got to make them. Your next failed drive is the 4th and 1. That's absolutely the wrong spot. It's abundantly clear that it's the wrong spot. And the most ridiculous part about that whole sequence is that the guy on the top of the screen that could actually see the football had the right spot. And for reasons unbeknown to mankind, the guy that's on the bottom of the screen that couldn't see the ball, that's the spot they go with. And of course, when they go to review, they stick with the call on the field. I will never understand in a million years why the guy that could actually see the ball, that had the correct spot, why that wasn't the spot they went with. Abundantly obvious that Josh Allen got that first down. But can we talk about the plays before that? Because they matter too. You had a 2nd and 8. You had a great screen look to Khalil Shakir. The ball's behind Khalil Shakir. So instead of Khalil Shakir being led into and being able to catch the ball and go up the field and get the yards, Khalil Shakir has to go backwards to catch the ball, gather himself, and then go up the field. That's an accurate throw. There's a good chance that Khalil Shakir gets a first down there. You can't maximize your yards after catch opportunity because it's a bad ball. Then Kincaid on the 3rd and 3. I don't take any exception with the spot. I think the refs had the correct spot on that. His elbow's down. It looks like the ball was short of the line to gain. But if Kincaid actually reads the leverage of Shakir's block and goes outside, it's not only a first down, but it's probably a lot more than that. So yeah, I'm pissed about the 4th and 1 spot, which was absolutely incorrect. But if there's an accurate throw to Khalil Shakir that gives him a chance to maximize the yak, or Kincaid actually reads the blocks correctly, you're not even in that position. And then there's the last drive. The last drive, that's a failed drive. Let's talk about it real quick. First down, you have a -1 yard with -1 yard run with Ty Johnson. You run toss right. The defensive tackle that's aligned as a 2-eye shoots the gap and tackles Ty Johnson for a loss. So you start off with a negative play. Josh Allen bails you out with a 11-yard scramble to get a first down. Then you get a 1st and 10, and this is a wasted down. Shakir and Josh Allen are not on the same page. The ball falls pretty much incomplete, targeted at looks like nobody, but him and Shakir just didn't see the coverage the same way, and so you have an incomplete pass. Then you have an incomplete ball to Curtis Samuel, and James Cook is on the field on that snap. It's a terrible pass pro rep by James Cook, and Josh Allen, despite having Curtis Samuel open on a whip route, Josh is pressured because James Cook can't pick up the blitz, and he can't find a window to get the ball off, and it's batted down instead of, hey, if that blitz pickup is correct, Josh Allen's able to hang in there and find a window to get the ball to Curtis Samuel, who's open on a whip route. Then you have a screen on 3rd and 10 to Amari Cooper to get you to a 4th and 5, and then there's the 4th and 5 play. And you've seen everyone on the planet have an opinion on the 4th and 5 play. And whether it's the orbit return to Khalil Shakir, that was the read, or the protection failure, that was my initial reaction, is like, hey, I think they needed to slide the protection the other way. Here's the bottom line. Just catch the ball. Just catch the ball. If Dalton Kincaid catches that ball, we have so many different conversations. You're 1st and 10 at the 35 with needing a touchdown to win the game. Probably a decent chance that happens. Probably a decent chance you win the game. I can't promise you that, but certainly have a decent chance. And so because that ball is incomplete, the consequences are massive. Instead of celebrating, oh my gosh, you really didn't play that well, but you won the AFC Championship game on the road, you're playing in the Super Bowl. Now the conversation is, well, Brandon Beane can't draft, and they didn't do a good enough job getting pass rushers and all these different things, right? It's absolutely true. But do you realize how drastic the difference in conversations are? You catch that ball, you win the game, you have certainly have a decent chance to win it, but because you don't, now the whole world's mad. Sean McDermott's got to be fired. It's crazy. The margins are so slim. Catch the ball. It's that simple. Catch the ball. Give yourself a chance. Plays there to be made. It would be celebrated as one of the crazy good throws in playoff history that Josh Allen was able to find a way to get that ball off, throw it into the hole. It'd have been celebrated like you would not believe, but instead goes down as an all-time dud play in the history of the organization. Margins are slim. The difference in catch versus not catching, the things we have to talk about versus the things we could be celebrating is just crazy. But the bottom line is this. The fundamentals were the drive killers: ball placement, drops, getting beat one-on-one in pass protection, catch the snap. Team obviously had its chances despite not exactly playing their best. But if I had direct criticism for the overall offensive game plan, it would be this. You should have had more wrinkles. And I can respect that you kind of did what you did, right? They came in, they did the things that got them to the AFC Championship game, and they were close and certainly had a chance to win it. But your short yardage stuff, obviously the tush pushes, they were dicey. They were dicey. They were successful all season long. Kansas City hadn't stopped a tush push in 3 years, but they could in that game, and the Bills didn't have any wrinkles. I know there's a lot of complaints about James Cook and his involvement. I get it. I certainly understand that. I would have liked to have seen more James Cook, but that role that he played in that game, pretty much the role he's played all year. He played 45% of the snaps. For the season, he plays 48% of the snaps. James Cook's not typically in on those end-of-half drives. It's Ty Johnson. They put James Cook in for one play. He couldn't pick up the blitz. On that last drive, I mean, I get the criticisms, but it's also, it's what they did all year, and they cling to what got them there, and they needed more wrinkles. That's ultimately what I think it comes down to. They needed more wrinkles to be able to present a more challenging matchup and maybe not have as many fundamental issues to give themselves a better chance to win the game. All right, we'll talk offensive snap counts and defense on the other side of it. Folks, be sure to stick with me. The big game is almost here, and there's no better way to make it even more exciting than with Prize Picks, the best place for daily fantasy sports. With over 10 million members and billions in winnings awarded, Prize Picks makes it fun and simple to get in on the action. Here's how it works. You pick more or less on at least 2 player projections, and if you're right, you can win up to 1,000 times your cash. Prize Picks even has a free pick for the big game where one of the starting quarterbacks only needs to throw for 1 yard to win. Pair that with one more correct pick, and you are cashing out. This week, I'm looking at the board and selecting more for Travis Kelce on receiving yards and more for Patrick Mahomes passing yards. What I love most, it's fast, safe, and withdrawals. When I win, my cash is in my account is in as little as 15 minutes. You can check out the promos tab to tell any of the super sweet Millie winners, big game lineups. If you tell a lineup that goes 3 for 3, you can win a split of $1 million in promo funds. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's Locked On NFL for $50 after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. All right, let's talk offensive snap counts here. And look, let me remind you, I sent out 55 minutes of me breaking down clips. So if you take exception with me saying that Josh Allen was inaccurate on a throw, I showed every single one of those plays to the people who get the clips. How do you get the clips? You have a subscription to the Substack or the Subtext. There's links in today's show notes where you can join and get additional content and be part of all that's going on around this podcast in terms of the community that we're building, additional content. But part of that is I send out film clips after every Bills game, breaking stuff down. And 55 minutes after this game, I show everything. So if you think I'm talking crazy about something, I got film that you can look at, because I know nobody ever likes when I ever have to say something negative about Josh Allen or he misses a throw or whatever. It's all right there in the film. All right, offensive snap counts. The Bills had 73 snaps. Quarterback Josh Allen, 100%. Running backs, Cook, 45%. Ty Johnson, 41%. Ray Davis, 12%. Reggie Gilliam, 15%. At tight end, Dawson Knox, 60%. Dalton Kincaid, 45%. Quentin Morris, 5%. Alec Anderson, 14%. All of the offensive linemen that started played 100% of the snaps. At wide receiver, Khalil Shakir, 78%. Mack Hollins, 67%. Keon Coleman, 53%. Amari Cooper, 44%. And Curtis Samuel, 19%. All right, let's talk defense here. Not good enough. And Patrick Mahomes came in and had the highest drop back success rate of any game in his career. Did you hear that correctly? Patrick Mahomes had the highest drop back success rate of any game in his career. Overall, it's a 99th percentile game by a quarterback in terms of drop-back success rate. He did what he wanted. Made quick decisions, and their game plan was terrific. They manipulated coverage. They had so much baked into their concepts in terms of play fakes. They'd run rub routes, freed up players, got open, hit throws, yards after catch, move the football, score points. And you had a lot of one-on-one failures by the Bills defense. Damar Hamlin, Kyer Elam, Rasul Douglas in man coverage. It was bad. They couldn't go one-on-one. And those matchups are tough. Damar Hamlin can't cover Xavier Worthy one-on-one. There's an athletic mismatch. It's like him trying to chase a rabbit. You can't do it. Kyer Elam juked out of his pants multiple times trying to cover one-on-one. Rasul Douglas didn't have the athleticism to carry one-on-one. Damar Hamlin's not going to be able to go one-on-one against Travis Kelce. So the man coverage was an absolute failure. And they ran man coverage 41% of the time. 41%. Do you realize how high of a percentage that is for this season? The Bills ran man coverage 21.5% of the time. That's 26th in the NFL. 41% in this game. 41% for the season would have been top 3 in the NFL. So, I can appreciate, hey, you try to do something different here. Boy, but it was the wrong idea, especially after Christian Benford went down. Patrick Mahomes against man coverage, 12 of 14, 169 yards and a touchdown. Passer rating of 141. He had an average time to throw of 1.7 seconds against man coverage. It wasn't hard for him. 1.77 seconds. No, the pass rush wasn't there. Well, of course it can't get there. Nobody's getting home that fast. You had the wrong idea coverage-wise. Against zone, Mahomes went 6 of 11 for 76 yards. That's a lot more pedestrian. Average time to throw, still only 2.5 seconds. Bottom line is he just knew where to go with the football. Scheme win after scheme win after scheme win. Part of it because you just don't have matchups that you can win one-on-one. 41% man and Christian Benford is out after a couple of drives? You had the wrong idea. I mean, there's just making quick decisions with run tags that holds coverage, rub routes that freeze guys up. It's a recipe for Patrick Mahomes having the highest dropback success rate of any game in his career. Patrick Mahomes' legs were a problem for the Bills in this game. I'd like to see the Bills contain better, obviously. Rousseau was on the wrong side of quite a bit of that, he's typically phenomenal at containing. I would say that Kansas City does a very good job of building in answers for Mahomes on those rollouts. That makes it very difficult to contain him. They will have somebody, whether it's a running back or a tight end or somebody, that just makes sure that they get in the way just enough to allow Patrick Mahomes to have a step. And then if you are able to contain him, they also have answers baked in where he can just dump the ball to somebody. So it was hard to contain him. I think the answer there is the Bills needed a better secondary contain plan. They didn't have it. Tackling was a major problem in this game. Major. 12 missed tackles in this game. When the Bills beat the Chiefs in Week 11, they had 2. And look at these numbers. The Chiefs averaged 8.17 yards after catch per reception. That's insane. Their rushing yards, 50% of their rushing yards came after contact. For some perspective there, the Eagles, they destroyed the Commanders, right? 55 points. They had 7 rushing touchdowns, over 200 yards rushing. Only 38% of those rushing yards came after contact. Didn't tackle well enough. Fundamentals, right? Blocking, accurate throws, catching snaps, catching passes, tackling. Come on. Staying in phase and coverage is fundamentals. And then pass rush, I talked about it. He got the ball out so quick because it was so easy for him. But then even when you got a little pressure, you didn't have enough complementary pressure. You need pressure from more than one player to be able to affect Patrick Mahomes or really any quarterback. But ultimately, you just couldn't get stops. And I think that's the story of this Bills defensive season. You couldn't get stops particularly early. Those early drives, Kansas City goes touchdown, 9 plays, 90 yards. Bills were like soft butter. Then you get lucky with a fumble that's unforced, or else they would have scored on that drive for sure. Touchdown, touchdown. Those are your first 4 drives defensively in the game. It's end of half after that. Really, I mean, you were looking at giving up 4 touchdowns in 4 drives. Now, congratulations coming out of the half. It's a lot better. You force them to punt on their first 2 drives. Then they get a touchdown after the 4th and 1 debacle. Short field, okay, whatever. You can live with it. You hold them to a field goal. That's great. Gives you a chance. And then end of game. You really didn't, you just really didn't stop them. Not early. And it falls right in line with what this defense has been all season. The Bills 29th in third down defense. 44% of the time they gave up conversions on third down. Kansas City tags them for a 56% conversion rate. Third down defense has been a problem all year. Was a problem in this game. The Bills allowed 356 first downs this year. So not necessarily just third down conversions, but a total of 356 first downs. That's the 4th most of any team in the NFL. So I'm not surprised that Kansas City comes in and gets a season-high 28 first downs and a season-high 32 points. The Bills overcame a lot this year with big plays on defense and, of course, efficiency on offense and Josh Allen as your quarterback. But at the end of the day, we're talking about a bottom 5 defense in the NFL in third down and allowing first downs. It's hard to win. Not to mention your issues in coverage and pass rush. I think you can see for Kansas City in this game the benefits of the circumstances with having really Week 18 was nothing for them. They didn't care. They lost 38-10 to Denver, was happy to do it. They had the 1 seed locked up. Then they get a first-round bye in the playoffs. You're talking about like 21 days between meaningful games for the Kansas City Chiefs. Opportunity to rest, get healthy, advance scout, add wrinkles to what you do. They looked like a machine. What a benefit that was to them to be able to have that lead up. And look, you knew the path for Buffalo was whatever team, Denver, right? Then it was going to be Baltimore. Then it was going to be Kansas City. You think Kansas City didn't know that too? They're sitting there for 21 days. It wasn't all just sitting there getting ready for the Houston Texans, I promise you that. Major benefit to them, and they took advantage, and they were a machine and had answers. The Bills had a goofy game plan that cost them and couldn't get stops. And despite it all, you still had a great chance to win the game at the end. If I'd have told you, 3:33 left, down 3, Josh Allen gets the ball, you'd have taken it. You'd have taken it every time. Had a chance to win the game. Got to make the plays. All right, we'll do defensive snap counts and studs and duds on the other side of it. Folks, be sure to stick with me. This is a message from sponsor Intuit TurboTax. Taxes was waiting and wondering and worrying if you were going to get any money back, and then waiting, wondering, and worrying some more. Now, Taxes is matching with a TurboTax expert who can do your taxes as soon as today. An expert who gives your taxes their undivided attention as they work on your return while you get real-time updates on their progress so that you can focus on your day. An expert who will find every deduction possible and file every form, every investment, everything with 100% accuracy, all so that you can get the most money back guaranteed. No waiting, no wondering, no worries. Now this is Taxes. Get an expert now on TurboTax.com. Only available with TurboTax Live full service. Real-time updates only in the iOS mobile app. See guaranteed details at TurboTax.com/guarantees. All right, defensive snap counts. The Bills played 66 snaps of defense. Defensive tackles, Oliver, 75%. He played pretty well. Daquan Jones, 58%. Austin Johnson, 32%. Jordan Phillips, 20%. Defensive end, Greg Rousseau, 77%. A.J. Epinesa, 70%. Dwan Smoot, 40%. Von Miller, 24%. At linebacker, Terrell Bernard, 100%. Matt Milano, 98%. Dorian Williams, 6%. I want to shout out Dorian Williams. I thought he had 2 unbelievable effort plays. On the 3rd and 1 stop that put the Chiefs in a 4th and 1, and then on that play, Mahomes was able to keep the ball and get a first down. On that 3rd and 1 play, Dorian Williams lit up Jawan Taylor like the 4th of July. put him on his back, and then the Bills had 3 free runners at the ball carrier. It was an unbelievable effort play. And then on the big punt return, the 41-yard return, Dorian Williams was the first guy down the field, and he did miss that tackle initially. But that dude got up, and he was the one that made the tackle 41 yards down the field, or else that punt returner was going to score. So he misses that tackle, falls off, immediately gets up, gets on his horse, and he must have ran 55 yards to go make that play. That's an unbelievable effort. That's championship level effort, and you can go to war with that any day. Cornerback, Rasul Douglas, 100%. Taron Johnson, 84%. Kyer Elam, 82%. Christian Benford, 18%. Damar Hamlin at safety, Cole Bishop, 100%, and Cam Lewis, 8%. Studs and duds. Studs, James Cook. What an effort by him. He had a great season. James Cook really had a great season, and I thought he showed up in a big way. Mack Hollins is a stud as well. I mean, where would this offense be without that guy, right? This sad situation when your best down the field receiver is Mack Hollins. So that's it for studs. Duds, Dalton Kincaid. I mean, the 4th and 5 drop is a big deal, but I also take exception with him not reading the leverage of that Khalil Shakir block. Joe Brady, you needed more in the bag for this one, man. You needed more in the bag. Damar Hamlin, I mean, a disaster game from Damar. Whether it was his one-on-one coverage mishaps, tackling mishaps on the Patrick Mahomes rushing touchdown. He's late to trigger. I mean, just the absolute blunder of a game for Damar Hamlin. Kyer Elam, come on, dude. Like, you had to be ready for this moment. This was a pivotal moment for him where it's like, hey, go play well in this game, and maybe you're in the mix to be a starter next year for this team. And I think the Bills are obviously entering this offseason wondering who's going to be the starter opposite of Christian Benford, because I don't think you want to pay Rasul Douglas, and I don't think you can count on Kyer Elam. So you're going to have to find a starting corner. And then Bobby Babich. You didn't have the right stuff defensively. You ran man coverage 41% of the time. Your guys couldn't stay in phase. I mean, bad mismatches everywhere, and you didn't really do anything about it. So those are my duds. So there you have it. Studs and duds. We did the snap counts. We did all the stuff here. And obviously, despite it all, the Bills certainly didn't play their best game, but my goodness, they had a chance. They had a chance in the AFC Championship game on the road, Arrowhead Stadium. Kansas City Chiefs. Mahomes has been to 5 Super Bowls in 7 years as a starter. Is right there for you. Had a great chance. Got to make the plays. All right, folks, that's it for today. Still waiting for Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane to do their year-end press conferences. Normally, it happens on Monday or Tuesday. Sitting here on Wednesday morning recording this, and we don't know when that's going to be. So we'll definitely react to that whenever it happens, but obviously tons of content that I have planned for us to assess this team and talk about how it can get better as this offseason is unfortunately underway. As always, I kindly ask that you share, subscribe, rate, and review. Would love for you to check out either the Substack or the Subtext. Get yourself in on these film clips so you can really have a great understanding of what went down in this game. As always, go Bills, and I look forward to catching up with you again real soon.